our live patrons. Hopefully I did this right. Didn't mess it up. Okay, so I was just live over on my main channel and then heading on over here. So I think I'm going to try and make that a weekly thing for the year 2020, trying to do more things, be interactive with the community. Live broadcasts are always have a nice energy, and they're also a nice way to hopefully bring some more people over here onto Patreon, since these are much more fun. How to phrase that? These are more intimate conversations where I can actually interact back and forth with individuals, and it's not like my heart gets racing real fast when I do those big live streams on my main channel, because there's just so many people in them that it's you're just reading it, you're trying to respond to things, and like I'll start to read something and I'll be like, oh, this guy's trying to get me to say something gross and offensive, like, okay. And there's so many different things that factor into how the nature of those ones on the mainstream, but they're, it's also fun to get information out there, talk about things I wouldn't otherwise be able to talk about. So anyway, let's get going. Matt G, hello, Majestic Demon. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today? I'm doing good. I've started the day by watching High School Musical 2. Then I went to the gym, lifted weights, did some cardio, came home, immediately did a live stream, and now I'm immediately doing a second live stream. Jeffrey Seibert, hello, Sean. Hello. Ferrari Force, hello. Harley Johnson, hello. Reese Wilkins, hey. Hello. Nibbles, 1510 TV, hey. Matt G, that's a good idea, doing a live stream right beforehand, get people interested in Patreon. That's exactly kind of what I'm trying to do. Actually, I've been meeting with a mentor the last couple months. He's actually someone that does like life coaching for a living, and he's offering to like mentor me for free. And part of that is that I'm like helping him with social media. So like I'm obviously successful with YouTube, and he's successful at helping people be successful at life. And so then put those two together and we can help each other out quite a bit. And he's been like helping me like thinking through Patreon and business a little bit differently, and like how do you create hooks of interest and not just like promote it randomly, but like actually like provide value. Like, so I'm doing a lot, trying to post more reviews over here and things that, whatever I post here, have a light version of it elsewhere. And so I'm providing more value elsewhere and on here. So I think it's worked nicely. Harley Johnson, best Fincher movie. Let's go with, let me think through Fincher's movies real quick. Fight Club's the one I have most nostalgia for. Just like, it came out in 99, senior in high school. So that's the movie that just kind of heaviest for me, of like sitting around with the dudes watching it. But all of his movies are intense and interesting, but Fight Club's probably the one that I would go with. Nibbles 1510, what's your favorite movie poster? Favorite movie poster of all time? Probably one of the Star Wars posters, or Raiders of the Lost Ark, something like one of those types of posters with the painting, drawing, that are just like gorgeous, and then they really capture the sense of adventure from the movies. There's a specific guy that did a bunch of those. I don't remember his name offhand, but those are the ones that I would immediately think of. Woo! We got a lot of people in here. More people than normal. So, Bryce Bailey. Hey, Sean. Thoughts on Titans Season 2? No show has frustrated me more than this one. The budget, the look casting are spot on. The writing and the story arcs are just awful. I only watched the first episode of this season. I haven't watched the rest of it. So the first episode of this season felt like it should have been the finale of last season. Like, the last season ended and you're like, what? Where's the finale? And then this episode felt like the finale for last season. That was a little bit distasteful, but yeah, the direction that they've taken these stories is just so, it just doesn't capture me. Like, I feel like I should like it more than I do, but I just don't like what they're doing. Reese Wilkins, I'm surprised you can keep track. I don't remember a specific thing which you have in mind, but yeah, it's tricky. There's a lot of things that make my life, or these live streams, there's a lot of things moving all at once. Rich Reviews, how are you? I'm doing good. Feeling alive, excited for a new year, and excited for new opportunities, and trying to find more ways to be successful. Jackson, wow, you've got a big crowd in here. Awesome. Yeah, I did a live stream over on the main channel, And I've been trying to do a better job of promoting Patreon and adding value here. That's why I've been posting more kind of standalone reviews and just trying to do a better job of thinking, how can I leverage my social media, live streams, Patreon, and do the best I can with all of them? And someone's been helping me, guide me through some of that, and I think starting to see a little bit of the benefit of that. Nibbles froze. I don't know what that means, but yes. IB-Man Tech Gamer, could you do a top 10 Jedi video? So this Tuesday, I think I listed I was going to do a Star Wars ranking. It's either going to be Final Battles or Heroes. I don't think I would specifically do Jedi, but I would do Heroes. And so I think it'd be top 20 Heroes is what I'd be looking to do, or Final Battles. I'll probably put up a poll and see which one people want first. So that's what I think is going to happen. If, so long as my Star Wars rankings are like getting traction, I'm going to try and make them a regular part of my rotation for every single month. Say like every month I want to have a Marvel video, a DC video, a horror video, an animated video, and a Star Wars video. That's what I'm thinking. Haller Johnson, would you like to see a new Star Wars trilogy by George Lucas? No. Especially now. I don't know what he could do now because they didn't run with his old ideas. They took it somewhere else. And so I think there's a pretty big disconnect from where George is at and where they're at. Would I have liked George Lucas, for them to have George Lucas as the guy that's the brainchild, like, here's my ideas, and then they passed it off to Lawrence Kasdan and JJ or whoever it was, but they actually like went with his ideas. I would have liked a more cohesive vision. I think one from George Lucas would have worked. I don't want him to direct them. I don't want him to write them. I would have been okay if he was the guy that they actually used some of his outlines and things like that. Especially if they're like, George, you messed up on the prequels, but you're brilliant. So we're going to smack you around a little bit, but we love your ideas, and we're going to have a fight. We're going to have tension, and we're going to make the best movies we can. I think you could have gotten something special. Rich Reviews always viewed Collider more as a time capsule, always fun and seeing what has and hasn't panned out. Yeah, very, 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 very true. You've tweeted that out several times over the last couple days. Nibbles, Rich Reviews, I'm fine. We got a retracted comment. Jackson Dworak, Uncut Gems ending. Did you like it or no? I was fine with what they did at the end of Uncut Gems. The nature of the movie is you've got a guy juggling flaming chainsaws while spinning plates and then going back, and like you're just feeling that tension. I think at the end of that movie, if everything is too happy, it doesn't really work. I think it's a movie that was inherently ending for this guy juggling flaming chainsaws, for that not to fully pay off for him. I want to be careful in the way exactly I say all this, but you just, that's what it was building towards. Wouldn't make any sense for it to play out terribly differently. Jeffrey, I heard a rumor that Hayden Christensen may be in the Obi-Wan show. What do you think? If there's a plot reason for it, it's what you got to do. He's the guy that played him. You can't recast him, and then he's aged as well as Ewan. So if there's a plot reason to make it work, okay, fair enough. For whatever, maybe it was all George's fault that his acting there was terrible. Probably not, because Natalie Portman and Ewan and Ian weren't ruined by him. So it's probably not just George's fault, but I'm kind of open to it. Rich Reviews, thought on the Methodist Church splitting. I'm not really following any of it. That's not something that I'm not from that denomination. That's not something I have great knowledge of. I'm not terribly surprised by it. There's just we're in a time where there's culture is shifting very quickly on a lot of issues, that in the mainstream, there's the amount of shifting, how quickly society is shifting on certain things is naturally going to lead to a lot of tension inside of religious organizations that don't know how best, what to do with that information. Like, this is what we've believed for a long time. Okay, what does that look like now? How do we stick to a ancient held truth with where culture's at right now, and where have we been wrong, where have we been right? Those are really tough things to discuss at a level of this high. IB-Man Tech Gamer, could you do a top 10 Jedi live video? I don't know if you're coming from the mainstream. Yeah, on this live stream, I'm going to go through the whole chat. I'm going to be here and for an hour until we finish all of it. You don't have to repeat questions. I'll see them. You don't have to repeat them on here. There's only 22 of us, so I can get to everybody. It might take me a few minutes, but I'll get to every single one that's in here. Harris, Constantinides. Hey Sean, thoughts on Indiana Jones 5? Yeah, so I'm totally open to more Indiana Jones. I don't want Indiana Jones 5. If they need to get Chris Pratt or whoever it is, Oscar Isaac, to play a new Indiana Jones, I would be much more open to that than I am the idea of Old Man Jones. Harrison Ford was born in 1942. He turns 78 this year, and they haven't started filming yet. And he's in great shape for a 78-year-old man, 77-year-old man, but he's not Sylvester Stallone in great shape. Sylvester Stallone, with all the HGH and horse steroids, I mean, he's a beast. He's broken his neck in the last 10 years in his 60s, and he's just still kicking it hard. That's not who Harrison Ford is. And the fantasy, the appeal, the draw of Indiana Jones is it's a couple of different things. One of them is that setting of he's competing against the Nazis looking for these ancient relics. That's really interesting. And it makes for an easy villain that you're totally fine with him killing a ton of them. There's not a lot of groups in history where you can just say they're Nazis and everyone goes, yeah, kill them. And you're fine with that. But when they're Nazis, you're totally fine with Hitler not getting the solution to eternal life. And the other part is Indiana Jones as, the perfect man. That when called to action, he's great in action. He's intelligent. He gets the ladies. He can always find a way to get out of the trouble. And, 78-year-old Harrison Ford just isn't that. So I just don't think it works with old him. Nibbles 1510, is he frozen for all of you? Oh, you're asking if I'm frozen. I don't know what you're seeing. I'm frozen, but I clicked the stop button, so I am, but hopefully you guys aren't. Bryce Bailey, do you think the Fox characters would be better off introduced in the MCU in another movie or in their own solo movies with no prior setup? I think the Fox characters, I don't know. I mean, it kind of all depends on how they're looking to use them. I think the most natural way to do it would be to have you have a movie that has some sort of big event inside of it that kind of cracks the universe a little bit, that opens the door for mutants or Fantastic Four, and you introduce Reed Richards in that movie, and then that leads to Fantastic Four. You introduce Professor X. I would think, I think that would be a more satisfying way to do it of, what they did with Spider-Man of we meet him a little bit moving in. That's kind of what the neat thing about the shared universe with where it's already established is you put them in the established thing, and then we kind of move off and we get a taste of them that makes us excited to see more of it. That's what they did with Spider-Man, is you give us a taste of this great new version of Reed Richards or Professor X, and then we're going to go off and with anticipation for the new one. That's what I would do. Rich Reviews, are you in favor of either electric or solar cars? Also, are you in favor of self-driving cars? We're going off in a direction here. I'm fine with all kinds of technology. If they want to, the idea that we're reliant on pouring gas into a car seems dangerous. That's not eternally sustainable. And so, sure, I'm entirely open to looking into new types of cars and new technology. I think we should be very much looking into better ways, especially with combustion engine. We're talking about 150-year-old technology still driving our cars. There's got to be something better than pouring a gallon of liquid into your car to go down the road. Then at the same time, it's always, if you stop and think about it, a gallon of gasoline, 1 gallon of gasoline can make my car that weighs a ton go 30 miles, which is insane because people say that it's a very inefficient engine because it only uses 10% of the engine or the energy that's created from gasoline. And you think at 10%, it can make a car that's 1,000 or 2,000 pounds go 30 miles, 35 miles. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, of course, I'm totally open to better technology. Self-driving cars, I don't like that. Self-driving cars, that's a lot scarier to me. There's a lot of nuance to driving. All right, I better speed up. We got a bigger crowd today, and I'm moving at my normal pace. Woo, I'm way far behind. Majestic Demon. I don't know if you remember, but I started watching the X-Men movies for the first time. Yes, I do remember that. I've seen the first one and X2. After watching and ranking the movies, should I prepare to be let down? Yes, you'll be let down by the third one. The third one will let you down, and X-Men Origins Wolverine will let you down. First class, great little return to form. Nibbles, are you a Patreon? I am not a Patreon. I am the patron. David, what films will win big? Will win at Golden Globes. I don't even know who's nominated. I don't really pay much attention to the Golden Globes. The was it the Hollywood Foreign Press is what does them. It's like 40 guys. It's like 89 guys, I think, guessing as to what they think people want. I mean, it's just whack. You look at the categories and what's nominated for what. It's ridiculous. Like you look at it, you're like, why are these movies in these categories? And it's because it's people trying to read the tea leaves. They're trying to guess what people want, and they're really, really, really bad at it. Ferrari Forest, just a cool idea for the next max tier patrons. Maybe you could have them watch a movie with you. For 5 tiers, maybe you could let them share their thoughts on the movie of their choice per week. So I used to do watch parties on here. And I did one that I think we had like 10 people that were on it with me. And I did another one that was like 2 people. And that's where I kind of dropped off on it. It was like, okay, it seemed like a cool idea. But if I'm watching a movie by myself for 2 hours, there's like one person in there. It's just not a good perk. Like if it's so few people getting involved with it. So I'm open to the idea of kind of doing more watch party kind of type things or watch things together. Pretty skeptical of anything where kind of the audience kind of joins in or is on video with me, because I just don't, it creates a scenario where it gets weird because, one person might be awesome, the next person might be awful. Rich Reviews always viewed John Campria, the Schmoes, John Schnapp, David Griffin, Jeremy Johns, and a couple girls as the squad. What was left on Collider was the B team. Yeah, so whenever Campia left and some other things, I lost a lot of interest too. When you have shows like that, there's the show, how interesting the show is, the concept, and then there's the talent. And it's not just even who the people are. It's not just, is there like the lead guy? It's also the chemistry of the group as a whole. And I don't think that they've found a good team since Campia left. There were a couple at Campia eras that were really great, of just a solid team that had good chemistry, and they balanced each other out nicely in different perspectives. And then I just don't feel like they've had that for a couple of years. Every time I tune in, it's very strange perspectives. And so it hasn't been my thing. And I don't think Campia alone is as good as he was when he had a great team of people around him. So, I think there was something real special there from 2013 to 2016 that, sometimes you have those magic eras where you get the right group of people doing something. We don't have that anymore. David, who do you think is the best actor, actress, director of 2019? I don't, off the top of my head, I just don't know. I'm really not that person. Like, I'm not an acting critic, or I'm not the prestige guy at all when it comes to these things. Adam Driver was fantastic in Marriage Story. So was ScarJo. So those are the two people that come to mind. Really enjoyed Ford versus Ferrari and what James Mangold was able to do with that. Sam Mendes for 1917, strong contender there for Best Director. So those are the ones that it would immediately come to mind. Matt G, what did you watch New Year's Eve? I was switching between Doctor Who and Twilight Zone and some episodes from this year. Whatever it was not interesting at all. Because I don't even remember what I watched. I'm trying to remember what I needed to catch up on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember. It's like 2 days ago. I pushed hard for a couple months getting ready for all my rankings, and I have to push hard again starting like now to get caught up for all the rankings I need to do in January. And so I was kind of in like a little bit of relax mode. I might have watched an episode of The Witcher, maybe the 4th episode of The Witcher might have been what I watched, but I don't remember. Ferrari Forest, yes, until the First Class trilogy, correct. He's talking about X-Men. First Class trilogy, the first 3, it's not even the trilogy, even the last one of the trilogy is not so good. First 2 in it are good. Jesse, even thoughts on the new Avatar poster? I saw somewhere that James Cameron released an official poster for the film. I haven't seen it. Someone asked me about what I thought about it. I was doing my live stream whatever day that supposedly happened. I haven't seen any poster for it. So I'm only hearing about it through people like saying things like, "Hey, I heard this." I haven't seen a tweet from James Cameron with it, so I'm kind of skeptical as to whether it's real or not. But I don't know if it's real or not because I just haven't seen it. I've just been very swept up in trying to get everything done I need to do for this week's videos and next week's videos and all kinds of stuff. I'm speaking at a retreat in a couple weeks. I'm writing 4 talks. I spoke last week, so I got a lot of things going on right now. Justin Parks, I like your hat. Thank you. Bryce Bailey, do you think it's weird to give Black Adam a solo movie, presumably as an anti-hero protagonist here before introducing him in Shazam in the future sequel as a villain? Yeah, I have no clue what they're doing with this whole Black Adam thing. I mean, they announced him 5 years ago as The Rock as Black Adam. Last night, my wife goes, "Hey, wait, The Rock's going to play Black Adam?" I was like, yeah, he was announced 5 years ago. She's like, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, yeah, I mean, they announced it 5 years ago, did nothing with it, announced they're doing Shazam, and we all went, oh, so The Rock's going to be in it. Like, no, he's not in it. What are we doing? So it's baffling to me whatever they're doing with all this. Jackson, I already messed up, but 2021 is my year for sure. I don't know. 2020 is feeling great to me so far. I'm just in such a amped up mood. I've got so many things in place that just seem so exciting. The slate of movies isn't quite as exciting, but my life in general just seems so set up for success and so many great opportunities and great viewers, fans, and everything. So I'm pumped for the future. David, favorite Funko that you own? I gotta go. I mean, of course, gotta go with the one Jackson made for me. He's in the chat right now. If you're wondering where the Sean Chandler Funko came from, it's Jackson. He's in there. You know, that's special right there. It's just special. That's if you're wondering what sorts of things of like great gifts. A great gift is one you would never buy for yourself, but that you cherish having it. I would never go and make my own Funko Pop. That seems like it would be a really weird thing to do. But I love that I have this. I just love this thing. With no questions, no competition. It's that one, and I've got a bunch of them that I think are cool. I so many that I think are delightful, and other ones that people have gifted to me. But that's just special. Reese Wilkins, do you watch many martial arts films? The Ip Man series is definitely definitely worth a watch. I've watched tons of martial arts movies. So I mean, I had a Jackie Chan webpage back in the 90s. And so I'm a huge fan of the genre. For whatever reason, though, I have not seen the Ip Man movies. I mean, I've seen Donnie Yen stuff from, the 80s, the In the Line of Duty movies, where these insane kicks. And, I followed his career forever. And for whatever reason, I just haven't seen the Ip Man movies. But, we're talking about The Raid with Iko, Ung Bak, and Protector with Tony Jaa, Scott Adkins in all his direct-to-video movies. I love that stuff. I just haven't watched the Ip Man movies. I really, really super-duper need to. Oscar44, hey Sean, got a credit card. I'm in high school. You're my first purchase with it. Happy to be a member here. Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. It's always kind of interesting thought to think, oh, someone's first purchase with a credit card is joining over here. I do my best to be accessible on here and just kind of have that extra. If you want to go deeper with Sean Chandler and have some bonus content and have these chats where I can actually interact back and forth with you, get to know who you are. That's what this is all about. Waffle, to you, what is the most rewatchable movie of 2019? It's tough. I'm in a weird position because I have kids. So the movie I rewatched the most was Lego Movie 2. By a lot. I've seen that movie a whole bunch of times. Of movies that were just me movies, not movies because of my kids, the one I watched the most with was Endgame. I don't know that the whole movie is entirely rewatchable, but the last hour is very rewatchable. So I think that's the one that I just chose to rewatch. As for the movie that'll probably just kind of put on as light entertainment the most, probably Yesterday. The Beatles Forget Music song, just a charming little film. That's the sort of stuff in our household that we just play at nighttime constantly. Jackson, would you like to see a Mandalorian video game? The show is designed like a video game. So absolutely. I mean, it's just designed as you have this meta story about him with Baby Yoda on the run and all the stuff that ties into that. And then you have him going on these little pocket missions, just like the way modern sandbox games work, of the central narrative plus little side quests. You even have him going to a shop and getting new armor and getting new equipment. It's exactly like a video game. So I would be so on board for that. Like it's so designed like a video game. I can't think of a show I've ever watched it and been like, this is like this is Diablo with except as the Mandalorian or whatever. Like it's just this is it. You go to these different villages on different planets, and it's just yeah, absolutely. Tyler Garcia, what direction do you think Disney should take Star Wars movies now that the Skywalker saga is over? Go away from it all. Go old Knights of the Old Republic. Do something to where we don't have expectations, and I think that's why the Mandalorian is working. Because when you do the Skywalker saga, one group of people thinks Skywalker saga, it's hero's journey, it's heroes, lightsaber battles, good versus evil, and everyone's related to everybody. You want big twist reveals. And then another group of people, they want it different. They're like, I'm tired of all the usual stuff. Make it different. And so because of that, you have two competing factions. If you go Knights of the Old Republic, you can go to this world that has all the stuff that we like without it. One group thinking it's too familiar, and one group thinking it's too different. I think that's what you do. Go very different. Ferrari Forest, are you excited for the Zombieland video game? I didn't know that there was going to be a Zombieland video game, so I can't say I'm excited for it, but now I'm curious now that you're mentioning that it exists, but I hadn't heard about that. Bryce Bailey, which DC villain would you like to get the next Joker movie treatment? I don't think that's the right lesson to learn from Joker. That makes me nervous, even the kind of the question, because that's what they're thinking. Like, all right, let's do Riddler and let's do Lex Luthor. Man, that scares me a little bit because it just doesn't. You can't just take the template and apply it everywhere else. You can do that like one time and it works, and then immediately it feels like a gimmick that's not so fresh. I mean, I think someone like but to answer your question, like Lex Luthor, I think has a deep story there that can be compelling, and you can make him the protagonist while he's actually a villain. It's very easy to present Lex Luthor as someone that thinks he's doing the right thing while doing evil things, and you can how power corrupts people, and how from his perspective he's trying to hold things together, but in reality he's a megalomaniac. All of that works. But, I just think if you kind of go through the Batman Rogues Gallery and let's do the Joker treatment on all of them, I just don't think it works to do that. Or maybe you could do like Deathstroke as an anti-hero and he's playing both sides. There's some interesting thing there, but that's not the Joker treatment. The Joker treatment, I think, specifically worked for that character and all the aesthetics they brought into it. Majestic Demon, if you could have any Sith or Jedi's lightsaber, what would it be? I like Luke's green lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. That's the one that I just think... That's the one that I go to. Matchy, you into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff, like who gets in and who doesn't? No, I don't really follow that. I mean, I follow music and I'm aware of a lot of things like that, but I don't specifically follow the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and who's inducted. Abducted would be very different. That if they started abducting people, we probably shouldn't support them at all. But inducting people, that's probably okay. Justin Parks, do you watch any other reviewers, and if so, who? Right now, not really. I don't watch a lot of other people. A lot of it, I just don't have time. And the other one is when you do what I do, I put out a video every day. So I have to come up with new thoughts, new way to articulate things. And, of course, I repeat myself a lot. And it's very easy if I watch someone else reviewing a movie that I then start mimicking what they said. I use their language for how they talked about that movie. And that's really dangerous that you want to stay away from that as much as possible. So right now, I probably need to do like a deep dive for the month of January and just do some, study some people, study some stuff to kind of help expand the vocabulary that I keep things fresh and new, add some new phrases in, maybe a new food analogy instead of just Taco Bell movies. We got Olive Garden movies or something like that. I need to do some things to freshen it up, and maybe some of that is watching other people, but generally, I don't watch a lot of people around. All right, but to answer your question, John Campea is someone that was huge for me. I watched years and years and years of his stuff every single day. And if I'm in the mood to watch some movie news stuff, I watch his stuff. And then I frequently check out little videos here and there that he puts out. Yesterday, I watched Jeremy Johns' best and worst of the year lists. Chris Stuckman, I'll check out his stuff from time to time, see what's going on. And both Jeremy Johns and Stuckman, also people, I've watched hundreds of their videos. Hundreds of them. That is not an exaggeration. That's a real deal. Before I had my own channel, I watched all of their videos. Right now I watch a ton of pitch meetings stuff. I watch all the pitch meeting stuff because it's not really analysis, or it's analysis through comedy. That's what I really enjoy about it. So I watch all the pitch meeting stuff as long as it's about something I've watched and I'm not just spoiling it. But so those are the ones that kind of come to mind. Ferrari Forrest, do you watch any Seth MacFarlane TV shows? Family Guy, American Dad? No, I've seen one episode of Family Guy. I thought it was really funny, but just not really my thing. Majestic Demon, Sonic is one of the most anticipated movies of the year. I'm not expecting it to be great. I'm expecting it to be a fun video game related movie. Yeah, I don't know where to land on it. I'm going in optimistic that it's going to be fun. And very nervous it's going to be bad. Oscar44, what types of music do you listen to? My playlist, I don't know, I guess my phone's over there. My playlists are normally, I go with whatever Apple recommends to me. And it just cycles through basically best of hits from the 80s, 90s, and early zeros. That's most of what it is. My formative years were the 90s and the 80s as well, and then early zeros. So that's the stuff that I always go back to. Rock type stuff, pop punk, things like that. Weezer, Smashing Pumpkins. Reese Wilkinson, I've started a new Instagram account where I review movies. I'm going to try and review every film I see this year, but you have definitely inspired me to put my thoughts out there. Oh, awesome. I love to hear that because, as I just mentioned, Jeremy John, Stuckman, Campion, they inspired me. Like I wouldn't be doing this if they hadn't started. And so the idea that now I'm that inspiration for other people is so cool to me. Like, just so cool that I can have that effect on other people. And so, I just love hearing that, and it's really neat. And someday, maybe that's what you'll be for someone else. You'll be the inspired person that inspired someone else to get started. But it takes time, but it's so satisfying. Tyler Garcia, what are your thoughts on Sony's Spider-Man verse with Venom 2 and Morbius coming? Sony's pretty spotty. Into the Spider-Verse, pretty fantastic. Venom, pretty messy. I liked the relationship inside of Venom, so I'm optimistic in that regard. But the specific script, I was not crazy about. So they don't have anything that makes me go, I'm confident in the leadership and their quality, consistency. There's potential that there will be something good. So I'm kind of all over the place on what it could be, how it could go. I need to see a trailer to get more confident on them. Majestic Demon, 22 people watching. Holy, yep. We had a nice little crowd today. Jackson, movie idea. Instead of Kong vs. Godzilla, do Jaws vs. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Lol. Yeah, but see, Kong and Godzilla have had movies recently. Jaws and Creature of the Black Lagoon, they're too old. They need to revamp their brands, get people excited about them. Then we would want the showdown between the two of them. Bryce Bailey, do you think they should reboot and recast the Marvel Netflix characters possibly in the movies, or should they continue with them with the same actors and stories, but as Disney Plus shows? So they wouldn't do those shows as Disney Plus shows. That's not going to happen. They're not Disney brand shows. You can just look at their original content. It all continues kind of a certain bright nature to it. They're designed for families. That is the Disney brand. That is what Disney Plus is. So I cannot fathom that they're going to bring on any of those shows back. I mean, those shows had sex scenes, language, blood, very kind of mature themes inside of them. That's just not, Jessica Jones is an alcoholic that's hooking up with guys left and right. Just her neighbor's a drug addict, dealt with trauma from rape. That's just not Disney Plus. So it's not going to happen. Could they bring those actors back in the MCU, or at least some of them back in the MCU? I think that's possible. I just don't like. There's always rumors, speculation, because people want to hear that. I just don't know. I really don't know where they're headed with some of this stuff. I would love to hear that Cox is coming back. It's Daredevil and all of that. I would love to hear that, but it seems pretty unlikely. Jeffrey Seibert, I think Pedro Pascal would do well as Moon Knight. What do you think? I don't really know much about Moon Knight. I believe he's Jewish. I don't believe Pedro Pascal is Jewish. I don't really know. I looked into that. I just wouldn't assume that he was Jewish. That would be my first assumption. I mean, obviously anyone can play, you don't have to be Jewish to play a Jewish character, but if you're going to have a mainstream Jewish hero, I would think there'd be value in really making that a hero for that community. But I don't know anything about Moon Knight besides what I just said. And I could be wrong about what I just said, so I don't really have a strong opinion. Ryan Green, are you planning on doing any watch party streams on Patreon this year? If we can if they're successful, if we can have movies that people are actually going to watch with me, sure. We did Infinity War, and that had like 10 people in it, so it's a decent crowd for my live streams. And then I did A Quiet Place, and I think it was like 2 people. And that's why I stopped doing them, because it was like when we were doing one that like tied into a cultural event that people were excited about, a lot of people tuned in. When we did it for another movie, it just kind of fell flat. And that's what's holding me back, or held me back the last 6 months. David, what 2019 film did you watch the most? Lego Movie 2. Tyler Garcia, have you played video game series Uncharted? What are your thoughts on Uncharted movies with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg? I haven't played any Uncharted games. Everything I've heard about them, I would love them. As soon as I start playing them, I'm sure I'll be a huge fan. Everything I've heard, Tom Holland is too young, and so it's a weird direction to go with Tom Holland for the role. Where a number of other people seem like they'd make more sense as the character. But in general, it seems like a series that would lend itself well to a film. So I'm excited for the film because it sounds like it would be good. I like Tom Holland, so actually I guess I am excited for it. And I'm being a purist about a franchise that I haven't even seen. Majestic Demon, 2017 Best of the Year, Disaster Artist, 2019 Best of the Year, Ford vs. Ferrari. I don't know. I mean, I watched Disaster Artist 2 years ago. I watched Ford vs. Ferrari a month ago. One I've had more time to sit on. I need to rewatch both of them. Yeah. Ryan Green, what are your thoughts on Crisis? I mean, I have a review of it on my channel. Like, I got a 10-minute video with my issues with it. I think it was written horribly. They wrote it for to tie to cameos rather than having a strong central arc. They didn't write the best episodes they could write, story they could write. They wrote the one that had the most cameos. But I've got a video on my main channel where I'll elaborate on my many issues. Rich Reviews, one of the canceled TV show Tucson's episode was 2003's WB show called Birds of Prey, which had Dina Meyer as Barbara Gordon and Mia Sara, Dr. Quinn. Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of Birds of Prey and remember when it first came out. Enjoy a lot of the actresses that are inside of it, the 2 that you mentioned being perfect examples of them. But it's kind of a weird show. Didn't quite click. Didn't quite come together right. I don't know that one was canceled too soon because it's a bit of an odd one. So many things. I got to talk faster. Sorry, I lost my place. Just a lot of stuff in here. Matt G, is Arrowverse the biggest crossover attempt in TV history? Yeah, I'm sure it is, just because they went for quantity over quality. So according to that, yeah. Jackson, what are some of the performances from last year where the actor disappears into the character the most that you don't see, just see the actor? Adam Driver, coming straight from being in Star Wars movie, disappears into actor guy in that movie. Tom Hanks disappeared into Mr. Rogers pretty well because, Tom Hanks is pretty Tom Hanksy, and then you see a different guy there on screen. I had one, but I can't think of it. One that's a little bit more interesting. Bryce Bailey, can you pitch your ideal Spider-Man movie for Tom Holland's 3rd solo installment? I mean, I can't do it right. I don't have an idea for that one off the top of my head. No, I certainly couldn't do it here. But yeah, Jeffrey Sarbet, have you played Jedi Fallen Order? And do you plan on reviewing it? I already reviewed it. It's on my channel. I reviewed it right when it came out. So that's already happened. Oscar 44, thoughts on Illinois? I don't have thoughts on Illinois. I don't know if you're referring to the album or the state. Neither one do I have strong opinions on. Jace, hi Sean. Got through your entire live stream and you didn't include Wonder Park. Which section would you put it in? Oh, I didn't include Wonder Park? Oops. Interesting. I mean, it would be like at number 100 or something like that. It would be very far. I didn't like Wonder Park at all. I knew there would be mistakes. I didn't, every year there's always something that I miss. And so, whoops. I mean, man, Tech Gamer, Marvel or DC? I like the Marvel movies more. They're more consistent. The MCU's fantastic. DC characters a whole lot more. Cyan Andrews, is Crisis on Infinite Earth, is it a disappointment so far? I've got a review on my channel. Like, I've got a review out there on it just because of life. I had it on I was hoping to go to Denver 4th of July for whatever the big Comic-Con is in Denver that weekend. I was going to come to town for that. in 2020, but my wife has a work convention that exact same date. And so then I just couldn't do it. But, my brother lives in Denver, the Denver area. I think he's in Golden. So I've been meaning to go up there for a long time. I haven't seen him in 3 years, and he came down here, so I need to go up there and see him. So maybe it's very much on my mind. As soon as I'm able, I want to go to Denver, and I'd like to tie that with like a Comic Con, so I could do kind of a meet and greet type deal that's less awkward than if I did it elsewhere. But so it's on my mind. Jackson, would you ever have done videos showing your full Funko collection? I did one last February. Like I did that. That's on my channel. And so then that's part of my routine of every beginning of the year do an update of my collection. But I mean, I have one of those on my channel. Rich reviews. Maybe you're a little bitter that season 8 of Arrow is a prequel spin-off season and it doesn't do anything news. I mean, I'm not bitter that the season is a prequel spin-off season. I'm bitter that they hijacked their own show to set up the crossover. They rushed the finale of the premise of the show, which is Oliver Queen's mission to save the city, in order to go over here and do the Crisis. And so then they're doing like It's a Wonderful Life this season, and like they're bringing back people and jumping to different universes. So they're solid episodes or whatever. They're it's a more pleasant season than the last few have been, but it's not the show I signed up for. And yeah, I'm absolutely bitter about that. Patricia Jacobs, what's your favorite movie? I'm doing a video this Saturday. That's my 20 favorite movies. That's coming. We're a week away, 1 week away. My 20 favorite movies. Every Saturday, Sunday, every weekend, I post my schedule for the upcoming week on my Instagram, on my Twitter feed, Facebook, and community tab. And so I try to let you guys know what's coming. Next Saturday, that is coming. Majestic Demon, have you seen George of the Jungle? No. I mean, I've seen the cartoon. I haven't seen the movie. Bryce Bailey, which almost made superhero movie have you heard of? Would you have liked to see? For you, it's definitely George Miller's Justice League Mortal. Ben Affleck's The Batman. That's the one. Because I wanted to see Ben Affleck get his own solo movie, where it was kind of that darker tone from Batman v Superman, but not in the movie Batman v Superman. Ben Affleck wrote Good Will Hunting, and it won an Oscar. He directed Argo, and it won Best Picture. And that guy doing a Batman movie just sounds awesome. And then it all fell through. Whatever the story is, it fell through. So that's the one I'd want to see. Rich Reviews, starting to watch the old B movie in Aluminum podcast. Fun. Nick Clams, thoughts on Babu Frick? Very fun, cute little new Star Wars character. I love that they always find a way to introduce new cute characters, and Babu Frick was our new one for the new movie. Ferrari Force, can you define blockbuster? Some examples of what is and what isn't? So a blockbuster is an event movie. It's a movie that is designed to bust the block. So starting with Star Wars, Jaws, Indiana Jones, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, they had these movies that just had such high demand right out of the gate that people would form lines around the block and bust the block. So Hollywood we just want to create what's the new blockbuster, the new movie that just has immediate demand right out of the gate, that's trying to get people to show up. And so that's right now we're in an era where Hollywood has kind of removed middle budget movies. Like we don't get a lot of adult drama like we used to have all these courtroom dramas and these police thrillers and murder investigation movies. A lot of that's moved to TV, and the mid-budget films have disappeared besides comedies, and even comedies aren't as prominent as they were before. And we just have these movies that are designed to be big tent poles. They spend $200 million on a movie, and they want it to open over $100 million. Huge upfront demand. That's what a blockbuster is, a movie they expect to open massive. And sometimes you have surprise ones that do that it wasn't intended. A Quiet Place was supposed to be this small little mid-budget movie or low-budget movie that did well. Endgame is intended to be a massive blockbuster. Men in Black International was intended to be a big blockbuster, and then it was kind of a dud. But it's these movies that they're expecting to make huge money opening weekend. So there's massive marketing. You put a big star in it. It's an established franchise. That's what a blockbuster is. Nick Clams, have you ever seen Nimino trilogy, a group of masterpieces that get no praise. Um, yeah, I think you have to define the term, what that means. I'm in the middle of a whole bunch of live streams, so I can't interpret that off the top of my head. It looks familiar. I just can't grab it at the moment. A couple days ago, I got a copy of Hobbs and Shaw with the discs inside of it. Yay! Awesome. Justin Parks, what is the best order to watch the Star Wars movies for the first time if you already know Darth Vader is Anakin? Um, um, yeah, I watch them through in release order. That's the order they told the story, so that's the order I watch them. If you already know, I mean, I guess just start with the first one. There's the machete order where you watch episode 4 and 5, then you skip one entirely, you do 2 and 3, and then you watch 6, and then the sequels. But yeah, I just watch release order. David, favorite celebrity that you met? I mean, I haven't met a ton of celebrities. So I got to talk with Chris Stuckman for 20 minutes at a film festival. That was very cool. So that was a neat experience. Dick Lands, I would buy a Sean Chandler Funko. I hear that from a lot of people, so I don't know how to way to get them cost effective, but I hear that from a bunch of people. Ferrari Force, why do you keep your Funkos in a box? Because it's symmetrical. Like I want clean lines. These are all clean lines. Everything is clean lines. It wouldn't be clean lines if they weren't in boxes. Macropod, Dan, have you watched Lucifer? I've watched 0 episodes of Lucifer. Jackson, waffles, pancakes, or French toast? French toast. Ferrari Force, is it just me, or are there so many more patrons since 2 weeks ago? So there's reasons for that. I talked about it at the beginning of the stream, but I'm actively trying to do things to do a better job of providing value here and providing that value in a context where people know that it's there. So I've been posting reviews that I wasn't going to do. I wasn't able to talk about them on my main channel, so I just wasn't going to review them. And I went, hey, why don't I put a version of that on Instagram and Facebook as well as one on Patreon? This is a way to let people know there's more content over here while offering more value everywhere. Likewise, I did a live stream right before I did this on my main channel where I just promoted this. So I did a live stream I otherwise wasn't planning on doing, and then I told people that it was follow-up over here, and I'm thinking just build that into my routine of I do a live stream on my main channel, and then I do the live stream over here. It's just part of my weekly routine, what I do every week. Osak 44, have you played Star Wars Battlefront 2? Yeah, I play it all the time. Bought it 2 years ago. Been in heavy rotation at my household. Play it with my son. Big fan. Majestic Demon, when Obi-Wan series airs on Disney Plus, Obi-Wan's the first line on the show better be, well, hello there. That'd be a lot of fun. Reese Wilkins, whenever you talk about Mandalorian, I mute my phone as I haven't been able to see it live in the UK. Live in the UK. Disney Plus isn't available here until March. Yeah, that's a good idea. There's a bunch of things you don't want to have spoiled inside of that. Jackson, this is the most jazzed up I think I've ever seen you. Can't wait to see all the projects you're excited to share. Yeah, it's just a new year. I'm coming into new year. I'm excited on life. I've changed. I'm like doing cardio. I'm doing all sorts of stuff to just kind of stay in better condition and just looking at all the stuff coming out to get excited about. Rich Reviews, favorite trauma film. I haven't watched very many trauma films, but I got to go with the Toxic Avenger, of course. Classic trauma. But, trauma's not one that I'm doing binging through frequently. Jackson, Django Unchained is my favorite movie and had so many great performances. Who did you like the most? Christoph Waltz, just the little arc that he has, and like especially the final scene that he plays with DiCaprio. That's my favorite moment in the movie. Waffle, what are some of your favorite remakes? I don't know. My brain's getting a little bit fried. I'm sorry. I'm not coming up with anything off the top of my head. Sorry about that. I just a little bit fried. Apparently, going to the gym right before doing 2 hours of live streams might not be the best idea. Yeah, I'm not coming up with anything. There's a lot that I'm fine with. I don't hate them, but one that's my favorite. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is kind of a remake, but not really. It's more of a reboot. I'm not coming up with it. Jackson, a lot of movies suffer from no likable characters. Uncut Gems, for example, as you said. I think Whiplash doesn't have any likable, but they suffer from it. What do you think? How do you think they made it work? Well, I mean, you make it work by having the person themselves isn't likable, but their ambition throughout the, like, you're compelled by this person that is so driven that that's interesting in and of itself. The path that they're on is so extreme that you just want to see where this is going. I think that's what makes some of it work. David, do you watch Film Theory? No, I don't know that I've ever watched Film Theory video. Rich Reviews, do you listen to Dan Savage podcast? No, I don't know what that is. Matt G, I like how Star Wars movies and TV shows made an attempt to acknowledge each other. Animated characters getting into live action movies, something Disney Marvel couldn't get done. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think MCU's a lot bigger. There's a lot more things, and there's reasons why they were more disconnected, and didn't reference things as much. That's going to change a whole lot with the Disney Plus shows. Now that it's no longer all of this stuff out here, and it's getting brought into one house, that's going to change. Maggie had it explained how Vision and Wanda are in the 1950s, allegedly. Had it? It's past tense, so no. But, I mean, we're going to find out. Rich Reviews, apparently Katz is going to lose $100 million. So who is to blame? The director or the studio executive who should lose his job? The studio executive is to blame. It never should have been greenlit with that budget. There was never an audience for that. As much as like people be like, oh, the Broadway musical made this much money, you can just look at that genre on the big screen. Like, how much did Les Mis make? How much has the Phantom of the Opera movies made? And you use that as your benchmark for what you can expect. And none of those movies indicated that they could make a movie that would make enough money to justify a budget as large as what they made. And then, of course, you do blame the director a little bit for making a design that just seems so unappealing and just seems so off-the-wall bad at first glance. So you blame him for that, but it never should have been greenlit in the first place. The executive is very much to blame for just letting it go wild. Bailey, Tales from the Dark Side or Tales from the Crypt? I haven't really watched either. Jackson, I made a big decision going into 2020 to quit my job in politics and go back to school to get a degree in writing, get my teaching certificate, and try to teach creative writing and journalism. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I would imagine that would be a more satisfying path to be on with less division, and politics just seems like a messy space that, I wouldn't want to be in that space. B-Man Tech Gamer, could you do Meet the Parents review? I don't really do retro reviews other than like my build-up series for franchises that are very on brand, Star Wars, Marvel, or things that are just passion projects. I like just doing a random review of Meet the Parents out of the blue would bomb hard on my channel. Nobody would watch it because like you want to watch a review when you're like, oh, I just watched the movie or it's compelling or something like that, and so it ties to a specific moment in time where you're interested in that review. Random Tuesday, Meet the Parents. None of my subscribers are thinking Meet the Parents on that day, so they don't click on it. And in which case, it just disappears on my channel. Other than my most devoted people who click on it, watch 2 minutes and click away. It just bombs hard. Maybe I could rank the 3 movies. That could be fun. Just like to do rankings, to do older franchises, fill out. But as for an actual like review of it, that like I just don't do things like that. Oscar 44, have you watched the show Scrubs? I've watched 2 or 3 seasons of it. I've watched a good bit, enjoyed what I've seen. Ferrari First, what is your least favorite horror movie? I don't know. I mean, there's just a ton of just really bland, bad ones. I mean, The Grudge is a strong contender, but there's a ton of, Slender Man from a couple years back or whatever. Also a contender for just awful, bland, boring, totally forgettable movies. Jace, what do you watch on Disney Plus besides The Mandalorian? What do I watch? I'm not watching, personally putting a whole lot of stuff on. My kids watch Little Einstein, Muppet Babies. I'm watching the High School Musical movies right now. We watch the Home Alone movies on there. I mean, it's kind of things like that, what it looks like. My kids watch it all the time. I'm not. My what I watch is determined by what I'm going to be ranking in the future for the most part, or what I'm going to be reviewing. So, just watching the archive doesn't make a ton of sense for me. Rich reviews: would you attend the Libertarian Party National Convention, considering it that it's in Austin, held in May? Actually, yeah, I didn't even know that. I mean, it wasn't on my radar until you mentioned it. That sounds interesting to me. I mean, who knows what'll come of it? But going to the Libertarian National Convention in the middle of whatever the bizarre political climate we're in right now, that sounds very interesting to me. So maybe I will. I've got some friends that I could go to with that see how how all that works out. David, which is better, Ford or Ferrari? I mean, makes a better car. Ford, I mean, that's the nature of it. Ford creates a cheap product that a ton of people own. Ferrari makes a premium product that a few people own. So which is better? The premium product's better, but Ford makes something that a lot more people can buy. Therefore, it has broader appeal. Yeah. Jackson, when I saw Spies in Disguise trailer at first, I was like, oh, this is cool, James Bond for kids. Then he turned into Bird and said, I'm out. Me too. Me too. Ferrari Forest, is it offline for you? It's not, as far as I know, it's not offline, but, you know. Yeah, it's telling me I'm online, but I guess there's a huge delay from where you guys are at and where I'm at. Matchy, any thoughts on NFL playoffs? No, I'm not really following the NFL, even though I'm doing a bunch of fantasy football leagues. I play a numbers game. I'm not actually watching any of it. Matchy, do you think the cinematic universe template could work for other games like mystery, comedy? I mean, I think if you do it right and you have a great concept, it can work, but it's, it can't just be a gimmick you're jumping onto. Rich Reviews, do a video about Star Trek episodes that were never made. I don't know what that would be about, because they were never made, so I don't. That seems really niche and not necessarily my niche, so it probably wouldn't work. Ferrari Ford, similar to my favorite movies from every year I've been alive. Would you do the same, but least favorite movies? No, I don't have a list like that. I don't like favorites you think through. What do I keep watching? But 1987, I would be doing research to come up with my least favorite movie. That's bogus content. That's not real for me. Some people are like that. They think that way. I don't think that way. I don't keep running lists of things that I don't like. Ferrari, is Hollywood still important, or there's too many sets around or are there just many sets around the world? I mean, Hollywood is important because that's where the business is at. That's where the people are at. So it's still Hollywood, even if there's sets and things all over the place. But that's what's most important. Mapster Christensen, how and when did you meet your girlfriend wife? We've been married 13 years, so don't have a girlfriend, just have a wife, and she's been my wife for a long, long time. So we actually technically grew up going to the same church, but didn't know each other. Not grew up, but went to the same church for a couple of years. My last couple of years in high school. Had all the same friends, but in different circles at different times. Like she was friends with the girl or a daughter in her family, and I was friends with the son. She actually dated a guy that I knew for years and years and years. Some of her best friends in high school, I was friends with that group of people, but they'd had a falling out at the exact time when I was hanging out with this group of people, so she wasn't there. So there's all these weird connections, and I knew her brother and had done some music with him and went to a concert with him. Didn't know that she was they were related to each other. And then we were at a 4th of July party. I was about to go off to college, and she'd been out at the college I was about to go off to. It was a Bible college. I literally asked her about churches, and that's how I got her number. Very weird, specific to church world type meeting. Ferrari Force, can you explain to me some of these genres that aren't well known? You'd have to be specific. You'd have to explain what you mean. Matchy, were you ever online prior to 1998, the old days of Prodigy and BBS? Yeah, I mean, I started online in probably 93. I think I had an AOL 5-hour disc. That's how I got an AOL on the internet. I believe I was in the 7th grade. So 7th grade would have been, like 93, 94-ish is when I got online. Around Doom, when Doom came out, and we'd play online and all the, over dial-up modems, things like that. I was never on Prodigy, but I was on AOL. But yeah, I mean, whenever it went mainstream, I was very early on the internet. Jace, what's your favorite pitch meeting? I don't know. The Batman Begins has some lines I really love inside of it. I think it's X-Men 2 has some fantastic lines inside of it. The pitch meeting of pitch meetings, fantastic stuff inside of it. Those are the ones that immediately come to mind. Oscar, which streaming service do you prefer most? Netflix, because it has the most robust content, both originals as well as just the licensed stuff. It's the most robust. David, Sonic or Mario? I think Sonic, he's got an attitude, so I'm going to go with him. B-Man Tech Gamer, do you watch Stranger Things? Yeah, I mean, I reviewed all 3 seasons, and I have a ranking of all 3 seasons. The 3 seasons. After season 3, I put a ranking up. So I've got Stranger Things content on my channel. Ferrari Forest, I got a year of Disney Plus with Verizon for free, and I'm not happy because I dislike Star Wars, but I like Marvel. I want to watch them, so I'm debating whether to renew the subscription. You know, all depends on if it's worth it for you. Or, I mean, if you can do month to month, just do month to month. When the shows are on, pay for it for those months and unsign up when you don't want them. If all you want is the exclusives, only pay for it when you want it. That's what I do with HBO. I signed up for to watch Watchmen for 2 months, and then I unsubscribed. That I paid for the thing that I wanted to see, and then I unsubscribed. You don't need to do year-long contracts, I don't think. I don't think you do. Hopefully you don't. And that's what I do with the number. The CBS All Access, I'm going to sign up in a couple of weeks when Picard starts, and then I'm going to unsubscribe when it's over. Matt G, I think they should re-release all the Star Wars movies in theaters with heavy emphasis on the original 3 to help restore some goodwill to the franchise, like Miska's IMAX release in 2018. Yeah, I think I think more movies should get releases like that. The problem is to make money doing it, you have to market it. And so then if you're Disney, they already have a big movie coming out every month. You know, they got huge movies that had come out this last year. And so then you start competing against yourself if you put out all these original movies. That's the problem that they run into. Rich Reviews, do you watch either Frontline or American Experience? I don't even know what those are. Ferrari Force, favorite show on Broadway right now? I don't know what's on Broadway right now. I don't have any clue what's on Broadway. I don't follow things like that, like at all. So I don't know. I saw Les Mis on Broadway 25 years ago, so that was pretty cool. Jace, how would you rank Transformers 5, Show Dogs, and The Fanatic? If you don't know what he's talking about, these are the last 3 years, the movie that I had is the worst movie of the year. Show Dogs is the least watchable and most offensive. Like a movie that's just ill-conceived, offensive, shouldn't exist. Show Dogs. Fanatic is an awful movie that loops back around and becomes watchable. And then Transformers 5 is just an example of corporate committee-based filmmaking with lots of explosions in it. Jesse, can you expect a late Blu-ray haul this month, or are you busy for this month? I don't know. Maybe I'll do it today, since I didn't have a video. I did that live stream. Maybe I'll put one out. I didn't get much, but maybe I can grab a few things I did get and throw a video up real quick, because people keep asking me about it. I didn't realize there was so much demand, but it seems there is. Tech Gamer, your favorite YouTuber? You're my favorite YouTuber. Oh, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I misread that as a question. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And what's the cool thing about these live broadcasts or on Patreon is that I can actually know who you are. On the main one, there's just so many people and everything flies by. But here, I can get to know you. Ferrari Forest, favorite Broadway to... I'm just not a Broadway guy. I'm not going to have an interesting answer on any of this. So I'll go with Les Mis because I saw it on Broadway. I'm committed to that one. But that's not my thing. Justin Parks, has there ever been a movie that you've changed your mind on over time? Oh, tons of them. I mean, you could just look at my rankings and that shifts all the time. I think sequels can hurt the predecessor. I think the way that my brain processes movies, it's big picture. And so if a sequel breaks the mythology, it retroactively hurts things. Sometimes you just go in and you're disappointed. There's tons of times I have changes. B-Man Tech Gamer, do you like Hulu or do you like Hulu? Yeah, I've been a Hulu subscriber for like 8 years because I don't have cable. I don't have a good antenna where I'm at that doesn't come in very well. So I have Hulu, and the day after you can get new shows. So, it's a decent service. I don't love it. Thinking about canceling it for now because we're trying to save money. And because of the way things played out with my life, I was underemployed for a long time as I was growing up this channel. And then our roof got screwed up. Our fence got knocked over. Our air conditioner went out. So we got some of these financial holes related to things we just had to repair. And so right now we're trying to fill in those holes, because once those holes are filled in, then we're in a really good place financially. Matt G, I hope that some of the MCU shows are in MCU TV shows in. Matt G, I hope they put some of the MCU TV shows in theaters. They've done a little bit of that, but when they did it before, it was not good. I mean, it was Inhumans, and that didn't go well. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, the whole point of putting on Disney Plus is to have an exclusive place to see something like that. So I don't know that they will. Matt G, I like a season premiere one day kind of thing. You know, I'd have fun with that. I would do that, but I'd be skeptical that they would do it. Nick Clams, favorite Star Wars planet? I don't know. I don't really have a favorite. I don't really like to pick favorites. It's tough for me. Jace, I guess this will be our final question of the day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It looks like we got a lot of new people in here. That's awesome. Every Saturday, 2 p.m. Every Saturday, 2 p.m. Central Time. That's when we do this. They go for about an hour. As you can see, we're over an hour. I'll just stick around answering questions for as long as as there's questions in there. Once we get over an hour, I'll tell you guys to kind of start backing off on the questions, but I answer everything. So you might have to wait a little while, stick around, stick around, look at where everyone's at. But I respond to everybody. I can get to know everybody. So very cool. Bunch of new people in here. So I got a couple more questions on here, and we'll close out. Who's your favorite football team? The Denver Broncos. Both of my parents are from Denver. Both of my parents' families are from Denver, and so we're a Broncos family. The Chandlers, as well as my mom's side, Broncos, Broncos, Broncos. So if I say anything else, it's very, very bad for me. So even though I don't really watch football, Broncos. B-Man Tech Gamer, do you watch Star Wars Rebels? I have watched all of it. I'm kind of trying to rewatch all of it, but I didn't give it a great viewing. There's shows that I watch a little bit more dedicated and ones that I kind of have in the background. It was one that I watched the more event episodes like Thrawn and Lando and Rex and Darth Vader. I watched those ones with a little bit more attention, and kind of the generic throwaway episodes I wasn't as invested in. Majestic Demon, see you later, everybody. Keep talking movies too much. Yes, keep talking movies too much. Fry Force, this is the best part of the Patreon. That's what I hope. That's the big ideas on here. I can't double my content. I can't edit twice as many videos or something like that. But what I can do is have a smaller community where I can be more accessible and, interact back and forth. So that's what I hope for this to be. That's where I think I can add the most value. And hopefully in 2020, I can find ways to do more and more things like this to the social side of social media. I can't do a lot of that on my main channel. It's just so tough with so many people and toxic people. So I get out of my own comment section or I get off Twitter a lot because there's just so many things that are unhealthy there. And I don't want to be a part of that. So here, I can just interact with everybody and it's a good, healthy place. Nick Lambs, being a patron is great. Awesome. Tony, hey man, love that you're putting more Oscar reviews on Patreon. Love your stuff, bro. And I'm hoping that's what I'm going to be able to do more of this year. I'm trying to there's a lot of stuff that I see that I didn't know where to cover or how to cover it or what that would look like because on my main channel, I built my channel talking about horror movies and Star Wars and Marvel and it's big franchise stuff. And so when I go more serious, it's just not my group of people. It's not my core audience. And so the videos don't do well. And the way YouTube works, if you don't get upfront demand, the video disappears and you don't get traction with it. And so then I was trying to think, how can I still talk about this stuff? Where can I put my reviews and do things? And so I'm putting those smaller reviews elsewhere on the quick version on Instagram, on Facebook, sometimes on Twitter, and trying to put words on it. I'm trying to make a good video for that platform. And then also using that to kind of send people over here where we can go deeper, both relationally, deeper content and reviews. That's what I'm hoping for. B-Man Tech Gamer, do you think Disney Plus will ever have ads? I don't know. I don't really know if that's something they'll do. It doesn't seem like it would be very wise to add ads. You make people really mad if you start with it and it's just part of the routine. People are like, okay, that's just what we're doing here. if you add it later on, they get mad at you. So I think they'd be smart enough not to do something that would just so anger people immediately. Oscar 44, Hulu's ads anger me. You can pay like $3 more and get rid of the ads. I don't have ads on Hulu. I haven't for years because it's like for $3 I can remove all of that. So that's an easy yes for me. All right, see you guys next week. We'll have one next week. We won't have one the week after that. I'm speaking out of town at a retreat. But next week we should be back. Same time, 2 Central Time. Once again, I always go for about an hour. Thank you guys so much for watching, and keep talking movies.